Hello again, everybody. I'm Deb Sofield, and you're listening to my weekly podcast series called Encouragement for Your Life. Many of you know I'm a national speaker and trainer, and as a coach, I help people find their voice and learn to use it from the stage. I'm also a conference speaker on the topics of public speaking, presentation skills, how to deal with the media, and I train in crisis communication. Many of my presentations can be found on my website. If your organization has an upcoming conference and you need a keynote speaker, I hope you'll reach out at debsofield.com. I've got a number of books on the market. My best-selling book, Speak Without Fear, my latest book, Perfecting Your Platform, are both on Amazon and Audible. My series, Encouragement for Your Life, which is a compilation of these podcasts, they're available on Amazon. Go to Amazon, type in my name, Deb Sofield, and all my books will appear. I've got a great show today, and I'm calling it Business, Politics, and Pageants Have a Lot in Common. I'm Deb Sofield. Thanks for spending these next few minutes with me. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Come on, with a title like that, Business, Politics, and Pageants, you have to listen. You might be surprised to know, in fact, you probably are, at one time, I was a Southeast top pageant interview coach for Miss America, Miss USA, Little Miss, the Rodeo Queen, the Cow Queen, the Watermelon Queen, Beef Ambassador, those are usually guys. And I have to say, at one time, I had more winners on the stage than any coach in the Carolinas and perhaps the Southeast. I know, shocking but true, I was a rock star pageant interview coach. Now, you need to know I did not teach the walk or the wave. You got to do that on your own. But I got to say, I had a great time with the kids. I don't do it really anymore. There was a time where I was booked basically every hour on the hour, and it was a lot of fun. But as with everything, time moves on. But here's what's interesting. As I learned early on, it's not me, but by coaching my clients to dig deep within themselves and then learn to speak without fear, being true to themselves, they would win every time. Now, the reason I tell you this is that the rules apply in so many endeavors in life, with or without a crown. I know most of you know me as a coach for presidents of corporations, to political candidates, to sales teams. But trust me, business, politics, and pageants have a lot in common. So I want to spend a few minutes on these three areas that I think can make or break you in business and politics, or if you're still wanting to be in pageants. All right, although it seems simple, my first rule is always tell the truth. I know, you would think that would be a given, but you know as well as I, it is not. Here's what's interesting. In the pageant business, probably the most important lesson a kid must learn is pretty simple, and it's this. It's not the question, but the answer that wins. And to that point, you've got to tell the truth. Answers that are true and honest to what you really believe. Now, I know most people say to me, but there's the right pageant answer that the judge wants to hear. But the fact is, the answer that wins is the one that's true. Because when you speak your truth, you really don't have to think too hard, because in most cases, you've already thought it through. And now it's part of your thought pattern for life. Just like in your everyday life, if you would learn to say what you mean, you could bypass a lot of heartache. Now, not just answering what is easy or gets you by this time, but what the truth is. Because the old saying is right, our friend, the truth will set you free. Now, you know that I'm not suggesting that you ever be mean or unkind in your words, because we know that a soft answer turns away wrath. And remember, you never have to overthink if you tell the truth the first time. I know it's hard to convince people that speaking truth to power is the best way to go. We live in a society that really likes what I call double talk. And I'm Southern, and we have a tradition to say one thing and mean another. Bless your heart. But in life, wouldn't it be better if we dealt with one another in the most honest and caring way that we know how? And I have found that the one way you can do that, friend, always tell the truth. I shouldn't have to remind you of this. I know that a simple lie seems easier, but you know it always comes back to bite you, and then you've got a problem on your hands. So another lesson I learned is don't degrade others. One has to be very careful what they say in front of others, and this is twofold. I had a mother who dropped her daughter at my office, and from the minute she pulled into my parking lot, she stopped the car, rolled down the window, and told me everything she thought was wrong with her kid from her point of view. In the 15 steps from getting out of the car to my office front door, that kid was destroyed. It took me 20 minutes to put her back in the right frame of mind for success. I know the mother wanted me to, in a sense, fix a few things. After all, she's paying me a lot of money to work with her daughter. But after it happened, I called the mother and told her never do that again. It wasn't productive, it wasn't helpful, and it added an unneeded burden to her kid. Let me just add that from where I stand, a lot of kids have it hard nowadays. I know it doesn't seem that way. But the pressure that social media is placing on our kids is more than anything you and I ever had to deal with. So much for whispers on the school bus. Nowadays, one email blast can ruin the best of kids. I see the degrading of people in business a lot. Someone gets angry and lets loose, and the damage is done. You may not see the result for a while, but trust me, one day you will. And it will be so overblown by their bottled up reaction because they took it until they decided they wouldn't take it anymore. And then they blow their stack. And you and I are left wondering, what caused this? Hey, buddy, you did. You picked and pushed and pushed, and you embarrassed them. And then they felt shame. And shame is hard. And when someone feels shame, all they can do is hold back until one day they punch back with such force it will take your breath away. If you live through it. I don't know how to say it, but you need to be your kids, your family, your employees' ally, their protector. You need to have their back every time. Just as a family needs to protect family, you need to claim your people, build them up, care for them, be their advocate. And remember, don't degrade them in front of others. In fact, how about you don't stoop so low to degrade them at all? It's not worth it, and the damage could be lifelong. Let me take a quick aside here. Did you know that when a person, especially a young person, faces shame or humiliation, it is something they most likely will never get over for life? I have 50, 60, 70-year-old presidents of corporations who can tell me verbatim something that happened when they were 4 years old because it humiliated them. And it is a scar that, although healed, is still tender years later. So friend, you be the leader you were born to be, and be careful what you say. And that's my next point. Be careful what you say. In the pageant business, you need to understand that when your daughter hears you bellyache about the money this pageant is costing, and admit it, they do cost a lot of money the first time, and then they get into a routine and it's not as bad the next. But hear me, your little girl begins to think she is not worth it. Silently, she may do something not to win in order not to cause her family grief or more money. Unfortunately, I see it a lot as a coach. And what's interesting to me is there's an opportunity to be the rock on which your kid stands, the place that cheers her towards success, which, by the way, is part of her lifelong remembrances. The one group who is supposed to have her back, and all they do is complain about money and time and ad book sales. Hear me. Parents, if you hate it that much, you should have never let her enter the pageant, because now you're proving that your love and acceptance has a price. Imagine that. Your parents insinuate that you don't have value. And friend, let me tell you that when that happens, that silver thread is broken, and it will be a lifelong battle for that young person to find hope, a lifelong struggle to believe that they are worthy of love and acceptance. I see it in the business world every day in my professional coaching. Oh, you'll pay for the boys to play every sport, but argue over a dress that makes her feel like she just might be beautiful? Friends, be careful what you say. I'm sure that many of you are listening to this today, and you can remember with clarity the time when a comment or offhanded remark left a deep scar. I understand that this is a two-way street. Some folks don't really have the extra resources that they would wish for their kids. I get it. But I have to ask, is there something that can be done? A truce that still values that young life, but is a fair acceptance of limited resources? A fair trade-off for what you can afford? Hey, I'm just asking, as a coach on the outside. And it's not just the pageant business. And I know I've entitled it Business, Politics, Pageants. I have a friend whose business is in perilous times. And every time I see him, he is talking about how bad everything is, how bad the economy is, this time of year, his employees, his ex-employees. And because he says it so much, his current office staff is on pins and needles. They didn't cause the trouble, but they're paying the price due to his constant chatter about his woes. When your staff lives on the edge, you're not being a leader of the pack. You're being the weak link. And don't think you can fake it. They know. They always know. So friend, be careful what you say. Your responsibility as a parent, a leader, a coach, a boss, is to guard your words, even in hard times. Be realistic. Know that every word you say is being magnified, cut, and quartered, with kids and family and staff reading into what they perceive the truth to be through their eyes of limited understanding. You, leader, have a responsibility. Dear listener, hear me. Be careful what you say. So I told you when I started out today that pageants and life have a lot in common. Either way, it's my hope that when your name is called and the crowd will cheer and you wear the crown with pride because your hard work paid off, I really hope you're the people's choice. I really hope you are the people's choice because through life, you followed 3 rules. You always told the truth. You never degraded others, and you were careful with what you said. I can't think of anything better. All right, shocking but true, you've been listening to Deb Sofield's encouragement for your rockstar amazing life. And hope of all hope, please join me next week so I can continue this journey with you as we work towards a better day. And remember, Deb doesn't care what the world says about you. I want you to know that I care about you, and I care about you because I believe you can do big things. I believe you can change lives. I believe that you will learn and you will live by telling the truth, and that you will be kind and just enthusiastic about others because you're careful what you say. And friend, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to walk alongside you so we follow that dream together for your outrageous success. All right, take care, everybody. Please join me next week.